Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Midday Market Report for Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. Our weekly trip to LA with the true OG himself, Mr. Primetime himself, Mr. Pops Dibiase, who I think last night might have enjoyed a little Big East brawl. Good friend of the show, friends with me and Pops, Mr. Craig Medeiros, San Diego State fan himself. And you know what? Listen, they were just longer. They had more offense. It was a great battle. It was a great run. That's what it was. It was a run that UConn semifinal loss at the Madison Square Garden in the Big East tournament gave them a couple extra days, which now I guess I'm grateful for that. That gave them some time to prepare for Iona, St. Mary's, and then obviously the second weekend, then of course the Final Four. And it was brought up on the show earlier today. You know, they didn't have to go through an Alabama. They didn't have to go through a Houston. They were in the bracket of death that I called. When you looked at it, you know, there was a Kansas, there was a UCLA, the Zags with 3. That was on paper their toughest battle, which they beat by almost 30. But today I'm blessed and honored to have good friend and like to hear his thoughts as we go back to the Pat Ewing days, the Villanova, the Georgetowns, the Rolly Massiminos of the word, when the Big East was the Big East. But number 5 for UConn. Good to see. Glad to be a part of it. Glad to have a plus 1,600 future on it as well. The one and only Mr. Pops Dibiase.
What's up, world?
Yeah.
What's going on? I hope everybody's feeling good, feeling great.
What's up, Pops?
What's up? What's up?
How you doing? You okay?
I'm good. I'm good. I don't know. It was weird because I was like, what's up? What's up? And then I got clicked out and then I got clicked back in. So I'm back now. But good morning, world. How's everybody? I hope everybody's good out there back east. I hope everybody's warm. You know, pretty much we mornings have been getting cold, but afternoons have heated up a little bit. Now we're back to our usual 70 degrees and everything like that. So, you know, everything is good. Everything is good, Jeff. Last night, I don't know why Jeff Benson and the guys over at Circuit just didn't listen to me when I said, let's do the 8.5 right away. They set the line at 6.5, but we knew that the line needed to be 8.5 to entice that San Diego State money. And also, I know that we don't have FCC rules here, so I'm going to cuss a little bit right now. And for all the dipshits that came into my DMs and on my mentions talking about 97% of the action going on UConn, just know that you don't know shit about sports betting, okay? Because nobody in their right fucking mind is going to take UConn as the big play. Sorry. Come on, you got San Diego State at plus 300. They were playing some of the best basketball. UConn hadn't been challenged by anybody yet. It was literally they were asking you to take San Diego State. So majority of the public took San Diego State. So let's go ahead and fix that right now. Because San Diego State won Saturday on a big buzzer beater and became America's team immediately. That's how it works. And then everybody, if San Diego State would have won last night, everybody would have said they had the ticket. Yeah, let's keep it real. Then all of a sudden, everybody had the UConn futures ticket. Yeah, okay. Did you guys really think UConn was going to win this national championship when they went 14-0, then lost? I guess what was the first Big East game that they played that they
Lost
lost?
4 out of the first. They lost.
Right,
They
4 out
lost
of 5.
at Xavier at Providence.
I saw people saying, "Will UConn even make the tournament?" So don't miss me with all this parade. I'm the greatest capper to ever do it in the world. You guys didn't know who the hell was going to win this tournament. We didn't know who was going to win it. When they set the line at 5-1 on the favorite, they're telling you they don't know who's going to win it. They don't know. Just like the Masters that's going on this week. Go ahead, Jeff.
First of all, shout out to Connor. Shout out to Chris Newman. Thank you so much for joining. Anyone that follows our shows, Pops, in late November, early December, we can replay the tapes. I'll get my producer right now to pull the tape up. When UConn was 14-0, number 2 in the country, they had just beaten Oregon by 30. They had just beaten Alabama by 13, beaten Oklahoma State by double digits. I told everyone, pump the brakes. You're talking to a season ticket holder. You're talking to someone that's 10 rows from the court, okay? I know a little something about UConn basketball. I says, Coach Hurley will even tell you, we are months ahead of schedule. Let's pump the brakes. Let's get into the Big East Conference where everyone knows everyone, where you win your home games and you try to split on the road, period, end of discussion. Okay? And then reality set in, a loss on New Year's Eve at Xavier. Then 5 days later at Providence, a home win, then another road loss. The fact of the matter is the Big East Conference itself got UConn prepared for the big dance. Why do I say that? Because UConn 17-0 this year, Pops, against non-conference opponents, 16-1 against the spread. In the tournament, they won every game by double digits. So it didn't matter what Vegas set the number at. They weren't setting it at 10, 10.5, or 11. So they tried to get cute with a 6.5. You asked me what my number was. My number was 6.5. That's where I had the number. Okay. It didn't matter where they set that number. It was going to be a pros versus Joes. Listen, the Sharps were taking the points. The Sharps were taking the plus 300. If it was FAU, they would have taken FAU and they would have taken it. Okay. So the bottom line is, I don't want to say they weren't tested because they were tested. Okay. They had a double-digit lead at halftime. Every game in the tournament, the first 5 minutes, they got it up to 20. The rest was history. They didn't do that. They didn't do that in this game. San Diego State, unfortunately, got UConn into the bonus with 12 minutes to go. It wasn't, and I'm not being a wise ass here, it wasn't UConn's best performance in the whole tournament, this game. Sonogo he looked like Elijah the whole tournament. He just defensively, offensively, he ran the floor. I don't think Hawkins had a great game. Tristan Newton was probably the star or the second star. They won the championship. They were the best team in the tournament for this 6 weeks run.
Well, yeah. Hey, and you know what, Jeff, we talked about it. And I said to you, I said that your UConn team is going to go on to my list of possible futures after they wrapped up Alabama. That was early in the season. That was before they even really went off on everybody, because Alabama was already starting to become like everybody's little darling because they beat North Carolina. Then they came back around, beat Houston. But, I kept looking at that schedule. See, that's where I feel like this was one of my better college basketball seasons of all time, because I really looked at the schedule of all these teams I was dealing with. Every single conference that I was putting up bets list for, I had an idea what was going on in that conference. You know what I mean? And pretty much the Big Ten was always going to be tough for whoever was going to be in the Big Ten this year. Marquette was able to be so good this year because the Marquette actually had a schedule that showed up for them to where they always got the right games at the right times, but they were a great home team. That was the whole thing. Marquette didn't lose a game at home in the Big East. They were a great home team. So that's why they were able to look so good all season. But UConn was always the best team in the conference. There was no doubt about that. It was just that how do we come together? And I just think that what happened in the Big East was that we know that Dan Hurley is a great coach, but we know that even when he was at Rhode Island, he had his fair share of issues in the A10. You know what I mean? Because the scouting reports are double down. They're the most intense scouting reports you're going to get when you're dealing with a conference opponent. You know, everybody asks is, oh, Gonzaga, you know, they had this easy conference, but then everybody sees this year Gonzaga had some issues with teams every week. You know, losing to Loyola Marymount. What was that about? Well, you're losing to the California guys. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you lose to the guys that didn't go to UCLA and USC. So, you know, this is college basketball. This is how college basketball is now. It's no more David and Goliath. It's really you need to show up and win the game. That's what it truly is right now. And I felt like, UConn got the memo because they got the greatest motivation of all time, a first-round exit the year before in a game that they were supposed to win by 40. And it didn't happen. They were embarrassed. And they came back this year with the mindset that, you know, we're going to play our absolute best. But UConn, the reason why they were so good was because of Andre Jackson. Everybody was talking about everybody else. But every time UConn has won one of these national championships, they had to have the floor general. Jackson played that role this time. Shabazz played it back in 2014. And we can never forget the great Kemba Walker run of 2011. But then you had Khalid Al-Amin as well, too. And then you also had, I'm trying to think of my point guard back in 2004 with Emeka, but you had Ben Gordon at that time, who somewhat was in that role as well, too. That team was a little different because it was mostly based about the shooters and things of that nature, and Emeka being the big man that he was. He was the star of that group. So it's been 5 different groups, in a sense, and 5 different ways of cutting it. The first 2 UConn teams were dominant. Those were top teams in the nation, great recruiting classes, things like that. Kemba's group was a group that felt like this was the loser group. This group didn't do much. Kemba was the young freshman that came in with a great group and they were the group that were the overachievers. They just were so overrated. And by the time Kemba got to being the leader of the team, all these great guys had left and he had all these kids to play with. But Kemba took it upon himself to be the leader of leaders and lead his little brothers into a national championship. That was able to get Shabazz motivated to do the same thing 3 years later. This team was totally different because they had a brand and they had a coach in Hurley that literally this time Calhoun was never the star. I would say that Ali was never the star, but I felt like Dan Hurley was the star of the team at the end of the day. The way that he coached these guys up, the way that he brought them up, because when you look at them at the end of the day, everybody in the Big East has the same roster as UConn. It's just about the way that they execute. Because you have to be big, you have to be physical, and you have to be kind of a street ball player in a sense to play with in the Big East. That's what the Big East is. And I just feel like UConn last night, like you said, Jeff, they played probably their one game that you could get them with. But what happened was the San Diego State had a 9-minute drought of not scoring. And I said to myself, if this happens to San Diego State at all, like it happened in each and every one of the games they played in this tournament, nobody talked about that because that's why the games were so low, because they was having a lot of scoring droughts in the process as well, too. I said, if they go on a scoring drought like this and they can't lock up the way that they usually do, then it's all she wrote. And that's exactly what happened. But I will have to give San Diego State much props because, man, San Diego State never backed down. They never came into this thing scared. That's the whole thing. I just felt like they were a tired team. And I said that Saturday night. They played their national championship Saturday night. They left everything on the floor. And they got off to a great start. But the problem is that they had to sustain that great start. They had to really take the air out the ball. I felt like they were moving a little bit too fast. And when you move a little bit too fast, you kind of playing into UConn's playing into the trap with UConn. So I truly do feel like this was a great game, but it just didn't finish the way that you wanted to finish for a fairy book ending. But I felt like San Diego State, they went in there and they had great moments. It just was UConn is a machine, and it was just you just wasn't ready for that type of situation. But one thing I will say is UConn did trail by 2 first round to Iona. And everybody was getting a little scared there until they got back into the second half, because everybody had Iona actually beating UConn on the sneaky. But as we said before, there were going to be no upsets in the West bracket in the first rounds. You know what I mean? Even though Arkansas beat Kansas, let's go back and say, okay, Arkansas was a top 10 team. So that wasn't really an upset in a sense. But I know this is homery for you, Jeff. But if you take a full strength UCLA team and put them against UConn, UConn gets their game. That wasn't going to be no 20-point blowout on UCLA. They might not even win the game, because I looked at a lot of things that UConn was doing last night, and UCLA would have locked all that up. Even in their big man situation, if you put Bono on your big man, Bono wins that matchup, and you know that, Jeff. And it's Sanago and Nuwaba, they would have been able to go at it and have a good little spirited matchup as well, too. It would have been excellent. It would have been great. One thing that I do give UConn in that matchup, they had the length for it. But UCLA had the experience, and that's what it made. And see, this is why the committee messed up, Jeff. That's why they messed up, because you weren't supposed to give Purdue so many favors. That was my biggest problem. Why are you giving Purdue so many favors? You know they're not a good team. Do they deserve a 1 seed? No, they do not. The Big Ten wasn't a great conference this year. I know that the Pac-12
so what they had,
but no, they should have in New York. That's where they should have had them at, because we're not losing to FDU. We beat FDU by 50.
They do this every year, Pops. In other words, they weren't giving UCLA the 1, but what they did was give them the 2, and they kept them out
in the worst absolute bracket for our team. They gave everybody else favors compared to us. Even your UConn Huskies didn't get no favors, because they put us in the absolute toughest bracket there was. Dude, the top 4 teams won the national championship, Jeff.
I called it the bracket of death.
Right.
That's what it was.
Teams can win the national championship. That's what pissed me off the most. Why would you do that? Why would you put four possible 1 seeds in one bracket, and then you're playing favorites with teams like Alabama, who don't belong in no 1 seed? It don't matter how great of a season they had. Houston, what the hell are you doing here? And you're gonna make a great team like UConn be a 4, and you're going to make Houston a 1, and the only win they have on the resume is Virginia? Come on, man. You lost the Temple. And they let you be a 1 seed. And then you get beat by Miami of all teams. Oh, and the disrespect to Miami as well, too. 5 seed, and you're the number 1 team out the ACC? Never in a million years would they do that to North Carolina or Duke. Never. If you come out number 1. And they had the record to show that they could have been a 2 or 3 seed. So, the committee, I don't know if we need y'all next year, because y'all messed this one up big time. That's why you had all these silly upsets and all this stuff go on. It was the greatest tournament ever, Jeff, but the committee did this thing so stupid, in my opinion. I just, why don't you just play it by a region now? Just all the West Coast teams, you put them in the West bracket. All the East Coast teams, you put them in the East bracket. All the Midwest teams, you put them in the Midwest. All the South teams, you put them in the South. You know what I mean? So then you could just go ahead and we could do it that way, like the old days. But, they ain't going to do nothing like that, Jeff. They got to make sure they make their money. They got to make sure they got their matchups, and I'm just frustrated, because I really wanted to play y'all. And I just think that, silly 3-point shots, from mid-major teams, stop that from happening. Because we wasn't supposed to be playing no Gonzaga. You're supposed to give us an easy ride to UConn. Damn. Grand
Listen,
Canyon should have won.
it was a great year overall.
It
I'm
was
glad.
awesome. It was awesome.
Glad it's behind us now. It's Masters week. We're not here, obviously, you and I, to talk Masters, but we got some good news to talk about. Your Lakers here rounding into form, and I'm saying that wholeheartedly here. The Wild Wild West had Julian Edlow from DraftKings on this morning, and we still can't figure the West out. We're going to wait till the brackets come out. The only futures I have are on the Bucks to win the East, the Bucks to win it all, and I gave that out in September before the season started. But good things are happening for you, so give us the Laker report.
Oh well, the Lakers is playing great basketball right now. They won the last 6 out of 7 in the I guess the schedule I set out, the final 10 game run, as I'd like to say. They're 4-1. They should be 5-0, but the Lakers are playing now. They're playing playoff basketball. They're playing top tier basketball. And that's because they have Anthony Davis playing at a high level. Anthony Davis, 38, 38, and 40 last 3 games. Also, he's been an absolute monster on the rebounds as well, too, 11, 17, and 9. So, he's playing MVP basketball right now, and he's literally, playing on 1 foot as well, too. So anybody that just always has something negative to say about AD, just know that when he's on, he's top 5 in the league, and he's not number 5. So, pretty much I know everybody has this thing about Giannis and things like that, but we all know when AD is fired up and has it on and is playing basketball, who's the better option for you, and that's going to be AD. So pretty much AD, by AD being as great as he's been this year, we're fine. And actually, when you look at the Lakers record with AD in the lineup, the Lakers have probably their best win record, period, point blank. I think I looked at something that had to do with his points last night and what AD does on the court. And AD, it was about 34-9. You know what I mean? 43 games. I think he's played this year probably, because I know he missed up to a month. But AD has played great basketball over these last 2 months, and that's straight up. And LeBron getting hurt was what the team needed, because you needed to have your coach be able to coach. That's the biggest problem. LeBron James doesn't understand that he has a job to do, and that's to be a player to score buckets and things like that. But when you keep finagling and jumping into the middle of the team structure and the team plan, then we're not going to be able to have a great functional team. That's why Russ was always looking like a crazy man out there. That's why Pat Beverly, who had no business being on the roster in the first place, lost about 5 games for the Lakers because of stupid technicals in the last few minutes of the game. You know what I mean? I can't believe a guy who averages 2 points a game really gets to start in the league and starts, and they treat him like he's an all-star. Like literally, like Pat Bev is sorry. I'm sorry. He sucks. Okay. And I was like, I've never known anybody who trash talked their way into actually a starting lineup. You know what I mean? Playing defense is one thing, but just being absolutely garbage is another. And I said, okay, the guy plays defense once a week and you guys go crazy about it. So what? You know what I mean? But the Lakers, all in all, had a great effort the other night. And I think that the confidence is building, because you got Austin Reeves, a guy who was not even considered to be, somebody in the Lakers' plans when they picked him up. He was just a summer league hand, you know what I mean? And put him on the G League team, and maybe we could do something with him. Well, he wound up being so good that, they had to put him on the regular team. And he's just picking up where Caruso left off, but he is even taking it to another level, because the way that he plays and goes about the game is he just wants to win. But he does take advantage of his opportunities, and he's a guy that knows how to get to the free throw line as well too. That extra 18, 19, 20 points nightly for the Lakers that he's been pretty much getting has been very helpful. But regardless, he might not get 18, 19 every night, but he will get double digits as well too. And he had one of his biggest games of the season here in the last few weeks. He scored 35 points, and the night before that he had scored 28. So, and this is all without LeBron in the lineup. So pretty much, you have a guy in Austin Reeves who's taken it upon himself to know that, okay, I need to contribute as well too. And I think that that's exactly what happened. You got guys that were ready to just step it up and not be just spectators. And then, worry about pleasing LeBron and AD and things of that nature. And finally, our coach is finally actually using his head as well too. Darvin Ham's still not a really good coach to me, but he has figured it out, or somebody on the sideline has told him what to figure out. You know what I mean? And that's to get your head out of LeBron's butt and start coaching the team. You know what I mean? And pretty much that's what's been working. And I think that another person who's been very good for us, and I think he started this whole wave of winning in a sense because he was the first domino to fall into place, and that's Rui Hachimura. He scored 20 points the other night against the Rockets. He was the first trade the Lakers made in this trade run that they had when they got rid of Kendrick Nunn. And the Lakers were able to acquire Rui, and it was like, okay, we got Rui. Now we can kind of get this log jam of guards out the way, and now we got somebody who's probably going to start into that 3 spot. What happened was they tried to start Rui probably the first 2 games, and that didn't work. I guess it didn't work for him or some odd reason like that. And so pretty much Rui started becoming kind of back and forth and things like that. But I think what really made him get better was the game that he had a DNP in. And that's the only Laker loss in these last 7 games as well too. So pretty much the game that Rui didn't play in that the Lakers lost. And a lot of people were very bothered by that because they feel like he's making a big impact on the team. And to the point to where LeBron even had to mention it in his latest interview, how good Rui's been and how he's one of the first people off the bench and how his impact has become more and more significant. His impact has become more and more significant to the point to where he actually is he's actually sharing minutes with Vanderbilt and Beasley, 2 other guys that were traded with D'Angelo Russell. And D'Angelo Russell, it's great that we have him. He's a luxury to have, but a lot of people probably don't want to hear this, especially our friend, Mr. Lucky, our boy. Great guy. I love Mr. Lucky. He's a big Laker fan too. But he doesn't like him, but I love him. Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder has been a constant. The Lakers started winning basketball games once Dennis Schroeder got healthy. The Lakers started off 2-10. Dennis Schroeder wasn't in the lineup. He was hurt. And once Dennis Schroeder came back, that brought some sanity back to the guard position because I keep it real. Russ just wasn't a good fit because I don't think that he liked playing with LeBron. And I don't think that he liked playing with certain people on the team like Pat Beverly. I think he liked playing with AD. Everybody loves playing with AD. But I think that he had some problems playing with LeBron because LeBron is too buddy with you, and then he goes behind your back and starts, saying you're the problem, even though he's the one that doesn't play defense. So, hey, I see all these things, and you know what? And me, Jeff, in my coaching days, guys that didn't play defense didn't play for me. I don't care how good they are. You know what I mean? If you don't play defense, you don't play for me. Because at the end of the day, you'll lose me a game. I don't care if you can score 40 points. You'll lose me a game. You know what I mean? So pretty much, and that's just coach bullshit talk because, if you got a guy that can score 40 a game, you'll teach his ass how to play a little bit of defense. But you know what I mean, though, Jeff. And I just feel like the Lakers, all in all, are making all the strides and all the moves, but I keep saying one game at a time because in the NBA is such a fickle thing right now because what happens is that you got so many great players, but these players keep getting hurt. And you got to hope that you stay healthy. That's the biggest thing in the NBA now. It's not even about the talent anymore. It's about your team staying healthy. And we've seen this the last 5 years in the playoffs that a lot of teams have won championships because certain players got hurt at a certain time. And it just isn't at the end of the day, we might not even be seeing the actual best. I feel like the Warriors are a very big are a very big, have been rewarded a lot from, injury plagued seasons for teams. And we can all kind of agree on that one, because when they had a championship against a fully healthy team, they got smoked. That was the Raptors. You know what I mean? They really had to show us that, could you beat anybody other than the Cavs and LeBron? And, this is why, pretty much Jason Tatum, you get a hard time in Boston, buddy, because you don't lose leads in Boston, bro. You don't lose to the Warriors, dog. You can lose to the Lakers. We understand that's a rival. But the Warriors, no. The one time the Warriors and Celtics played, the Celtics embarrassed them. And then you're going to let them come back and embarrass y'all. And they beat you in Boston. That's what really makes your legacy messed up, is because they beat you in Boston and was talking ish to you all night. Curry would have never did that with Larry Bird. Draymond Green would have got jumped by the first 5 rows, dude. Draymond talks all that craziness about it's NBA, not NBA. We tough and we do this and do that. I said, go to Boston Garden in '83, and don't think that your ass ain't gonna get jumped in that tunnel talking that bullshit that you talk. Seriously, you can yell as much as you want to.
Mikhail would have given him a clothesline like Rambus. Sit down, punk.
You would have been fighting with like 10 Patriots too. Like, seriously, you'd have been fighting with Patriots, Red Sox, Boston Bruins, everybody. You know what I mean? And I'm going to keep it real with you. ML Carr would have whooped his ass.
And then he would have
whooped his ass. Robert Harris would whip Draymond Green's ass. I hope Draymond watch the show and just know all these old school players that will whoop your ass in the game.
So before I transition to the Love You Blue and the Dodgers, the Wild West, when you look at it, a Denver team that can win at home, that's about it. A number 2 seed or 3 seed with the Sacramento Kings that are 20-1. A Golden State team that can't win on the road. A KD team who's undefeated Suns when he plays. In come the Lakers. Dallas waving the white flag. Let me see. Kyrie has now blown up the Cavaliers, the Celtics. He has blown up the Nets. And oh, by the way, he had a part-time gig in Dallas, and he waves the white flag and says, I'm out and I'm going to free agency. Whoever decides to give him a contract in free agency, I'd fire the GM immediately. He's talking about going overseas, getting the brand. Why don't you just stay over there? Find out if the world is truly flat, because we don't need you here in the NBA. But the question to you, and we'll wait for the brackets. We have you on every Tuesday here at ECSI. But the question is, am I crazy to think that you can make it to the West Finals? You might make it to face the Bucks or the Celtics or the Sixers, or whoever comes out of the East?
Well, Jeff, right now, the Western Conference 1 through 8, because I can't consider those 2 teams that are in the 9 and 10 spot. Come on, let's keep it real. OKC, you're not making the playoffs. And who's the other one that's down there? I think it's Minnesota's going to get in, but New Orleans will probably find themselves out too, because no Zion. So pretty much 1 through 8 is tough. And I'm going to tell you like this, Denver has the possibility of getting put out in the first round, because Denver decided to start doing all they losing at the wrong time, which is now. Denver's not losing because they're weak or playing bad basketball. They're resting guys. They're making sure guys are going to be 100%. They lost Jamal Murray for years, and they're trying to make sure Jamal Murray is going to be intact, because Jokic's going to be there. But the West is wide open, pretty much point blank. And I just didn't want to be sounding like a homer, but the Lakers have told me all season that they can be in the NBA Finals, even when we were bad losing games, because we were losing the games by 2, 3. We weren't losing games by a lot, and we weren't winning games by a lot. And I said, teams that do this, once they turn it on and get really good, it's danger for everybody. And right now, the Lakers have turned it on, and they're playing their best basketball of the season, probably their best basketball in the last 2 years. And that's because they have the chemistry. And it's not because of LeBron. It's not because of AD. It's because the overall team likes to play with each other. That's the whole thing. And once LeBron can have the ultimate chemistry, that's when LeBron really shines. And that's when AD can really shine. And now they're starting to have the makings of the same team that won that championship back in 2020. They have all pretty much literally like all the same type of players, the same type of pieces in place. And they have this attitude that it's us against the world. And I think that the Lakers really do have a big opportunity because the Lakers have set goals. I don't think the rest of the Western Conference has set goals. I think the Western Conference is just worried about who's going to get in here. Another dangerous team that they're going to probably overlook because they haven't been here in so long, but they've been the constant force in the NBA since going down. See, that's one of the better comeback jobs as well too. The Sacramento Kings started the season off 0-4, 0-4. Jeff, they're the third seed right now. The Kings are a team that you cannot sleep on in this playoff at all. They have probably top 5 players going into the playoffs this year. De'Aaron Fox doesn't get enough credit. They don't talk about him enough. I don't like to talk about him that much because he always is dogging out Cali stuff, and he picked on my boy Zoe a little bit too much as well too. So I didn't like all that. So pretty much, but when it comes to balling, the boy can play. And a lot of people don't talk a lot about De'Aaron Fox, but De'Aaron Fox is a better version of Chris Paul. You know what I mean? A better scoring version of Chris Paul. You know what I mean? And then you got Sabonis as well, too. And then you got my man Keegan. Keegan is awesome. Keegan is an absolute gem. And I told people that was my rookie of the year. I know he's not going to win it, but he's still a better player than Banchero, in my opinion, because you put him on, say, the Magic probably go to the playoffs this year as well, too. That's what type of player Keegan is. You know what I mean? Banchero is a good player for his stats, but Keegan's a winner. And see, that's when guys, it's just this whole group is really good. And they get overlooked a little bit too much. And you don't want to deal with the overlooked group, especially a team that hasn't been in the playoffs for 16 years as well, too. But literally, it's showing how good the Pacific Division is at the end of the day. You got the Kings sitting in third. You got the Suns sitting in fourth. You got the Clippers and Warriors going back and forth with the 5 and the 6, and the Lakers sitting at 7. So 3 through 7, you have 5 teams that are in one division together. And guess what? The Lakers are the last place team. That's what makes this even more a fun situation for the Lakers. Like you never get too much love for finishing last place, but it looks like the Lakers probably will wind up finishing last place in the division, but this will be one of the greatest last place finishes of all time. So I truly do think that the Lakers have a big chance because they've beaten everybody that's at the top. They beat Denver twice. They beat Memphis twice as well too. I think they got Memphis twice. They've also beaten Sacramento as well too in Sacramento. They beat Phoenix and they beat they own the Warrior, the tiebreaker with the Warriors. Only pet peeve that the Lakers got standing in the way is a team down the hallway, the Clippers. And even then, they ain't that much of a threat either because hopefully they match it up in this playoff this year because I'm going to keep it real with you, Jeff. ESPN needs it badly. ABC needs it badly because NBA ratings are absolutely in the garbage this year. Only thing saving them right now is LeBron and the Lakers. Everybody else is nobody else is must-see TV. Let's keep it real. Your MVP is not must-see TV. Joel Embiid is not must-see TV. You know what I mean? That's what's the biggest problem with the NBA. And, it's on a year where the Knicks are actually good. And this is sad that the NBA can't, really get our interest like that right now. Because I'll be dead honest with you. I only watch the Laker games. If you have another game on ESPN or TNT, I probably won't be watching. I'll just look at the box score. You know what I mean, Jeff? Because it's not about time or I need to go to sleep or anything like that. It's just these teams they're boring. They're just not fun. You know what I mean? They play the game so manufactured now. And it's really sad to watch. Hopefully they pick it up in the playoffs because, we got to watch pure basketball uncut at its rawest form with college basketball. This is why that was the greatest tournament ever because nobody knew who was going to win and nobody expected anything. Everybody knew that they had to earn those games, period, point blank. And if you didn't go out there with the idea that you got to earn the game, your ass went home. Ask Kansas. Ask UCLA, ask Alabama, ask Houston. You know what I mean? All the teams we thought were going to be in the Final Four, they took their ass home. They didn't make it to the Elite Eight, most of them. You know what I mean? So, basketball is funny right now. College basketball probably, raised its levels by 10 barometers. And the NBA is just sitting there, hemorrhaging money as we speak. You know what I mean? Coming up with more and more bad ideas, trying to be more and more like college basketball. Talking about a mid-season playing tournament, you'll lose the league, sir. Sorry. Don't even do it. Don't even attempt to do it. But that's my 2 cents on that. The Lakers are if you want to take a future ticket on the Lakers right now, take it. And the Lakers were a 60-1 future about 3 months ago as well, too. People that jumped all over that, you smart money right now, because the Lakers are not going to be that number at all going into the playoffs. The Lakers might be the second or third favorite to win the title once we get to the playoffs, because it's a whole different world. When you look at the Lakers in 2023 compared to the Lakers in 2022, they're a totally different team. You know what I mean? If you look at the last 2 months of the season, Jeff, and if you said the last 2 months of the season was their whole year, the Lakers would have had 60 wins by now. That's how close they've been in all these games. And so pretty much, and I'm not trying to be cocky about this, Jeff. It's just that, the Lakers did a lot of their losing early in the season, and they're doing a lot of their winning here and late in the season. It happens. It happens. So, it is what it is at the end of the day.
It's baseball season. The college is done. We got the NBA playoffs coming here soon. We got the NHL playoffs coming here soon. Again, it's Masters week, but it's baseball season. As you can see, I'm behind the Green Monster at Fenway Park. As my Red Sox, who have no pitching staff right now, just score 6, 7, 8 runs and win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Your Dodgers park their asses at home. Tough start to the year, meaning, let me see. What'd you start with? The Diamondbacks, and now you got the Rockies. When are you going to play someone real, will you? I'm only kidding. But give us the Dodger report.
Okay, we want to get into stuff, huh? Hey, okay. And knowing that you had to, somebody went over there to what is it? The Riverside School of the Deaf over there across the street from the ballpark, said a prayer on Saturday and got that win, huh? Down 7-1. But Cedric Mullins had a weekend though against you guys. Cedric Mullins, my guy that I keep talking about, Baltimore. Guy is good. He's good. And have you seen the kid on the Marlins, the leadoff man? He already got 12 hits. But they was tripping though. They said he reminds me of Tony Gwynn. I said, okay, park the brakes, park the car, stop. Don't say dumb things now, okay? Let's not get stupid here, okay? All right, you know what I mean? Because Tony would love being here, but I know you're dogging my Dodgers, but the Dodgers actually, let me give you some good mojo, Jeff. The Dodgers actually have scored 35 runs here in their first 5 games. Not 35, actually. Hold on. They scored 8 opening night. They scored 10 on Saturday. They scored 13 last night. All right. So they got 31, and they've had, 33 runs. Funny thing is, the reason why they got 33 runs, Jeff, is because in the 2 losses to the Diamondbacks, they only scored 1 run. But peep this, though. They only gave up 2 runs. So the Dodgers pitching, once again, the best of the best. But the hitting, once the hitting goes cold, it's anybody's ball game. And that's exactly what happened to the Dodgers. That's why they're sitting at 3-2, where they should be 5-0. But if you're going to sit up in here and lose these games at this time of the year, that's perfect. Those are the right teams to lose to, because then you get to know that they're not going to be messing around with you this year when you make your road trip to Arizona and when you make your road trip to Colorado this year. So, but Colorado got up 4-2 last night. They got absolutely smoked. But I'm going to keep it real with you, though, Jeff. James Outman, go ahead and just mark him down for your rookie of the year. And Miguel Vargas as well, too. He could possibly be they might be co-rookie of the year, Jeff. I don't know, because these guys are absolutely studs. And I'm telling you right now that James Outman has really made his impact felt very early. Opening night, James Outman hits a home run. Last night, James Albin had 2 triples. In both games, he had 3 RBIs in both of those bad boys. Miguel Vargas got his first ever MLB. He got his first RBI of the season as well, too, last night with the single. And those are my young puppies. You know what I mean? We got a little bit of an issue here in the outfield. We're going to be it looks like we're platooning between 4 guys with center field and left field this year, Jeff, because Mookie already has right field locked up. That's Mookie all day. But I don't think that we're platooning between Peralta, Hayward, Taylor, and Outman right now. And I've seen 3 different, and Trace Thompson as well, too, who hit 3 home runs on Saturday night with 8 RBIs. Grand Salami, 3-run shot, and a solo job. Dodgers win that game. Dodgers won that game, like 11-1? Yeah, so pretty much the Dodgers have had 2 double-digit run games already. And the offense really, there's nothing really wrong. They actually have kind of been upgraded a little bit on offense now. And let me just go ahead before I know that I don't have much time, but thing is, the person that really impressed me, and I was hoping that he would get time very early, was Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward last night hit a 2-run shot last night. He got himself another RBI a little bit earlier than that with a nice little single and things of that nature. But Jason Hayward was huge last night, Jeff, and he proved that, maybe, I was a bit of an overhype early in my career because I played in Atlanta and they had this idea I was going to be the next great outfielder because his arm was something else. His defense was something else. His bat was something else. He got hit in the face. Things were never the same. So pretty much, but he got paid twice. St. Louis and no, he didn't really get paid in St. Louis. He got paid in Chicago. He got traded to St. Louis because St. Louis traded away some assets, helped the Braves get good again, little stuff like that. So pretty much Jason Hayward to me was special last night because I said, if you truly think you have an outfield problem and you don't know who the center fielder is going to be, just let Jason play center field because he has the arm, you know what I mean? But you're not going to keep Outman. You can't keep Outman out. You're not going to keep Trace Thompson out. So it's going to be a platoon situation. And since the Dodgers have a platoon situation, nobody's going to trust them in the postseason. It's that simple. I really feel like the Dodgers do need to make a trade for another significant hitter. And I know one will become available very soon. It has to be an outfielder as well, too. You know what I mean? I just feel like I know the Dodgers can build with what they have on the farm, but it would be great for the Dodgers to get another star, especially an outfielder. You know what I mean? And I wish that the Twins could suck a little bit right now so they could go get Byron Buxton. But that's not happening because the Twins are absolutely killing it right now. They're 4-0. And I saw the stats last night, and they was absolutely crushing the ball last night. They played great baseball throughout the weekend, and they got one of the better pitching staffs in the MLB as well, too. But the Dodgers were impressive. Michael Grove was impressive. Even though he gave 4 runs in the 5th, he still did a great job last night. But I was very impressed with Thor. Thor didn't get any run support, but Thor was absolutely, lights out in those 6 innings that he debuted on Sunday. And Kershaw is Kershaw. You know how Kershaw go. Roll, baby. You know how it goes. And then my man, Julio Urias. Julio is a special guy. He's a special player. He puts it right. So Julio is somebody, hopefully you got paid for your Cy Young this year. He'll probably win another 20 games, and then nobody will care about it. You know how it goes, Jeff. But he should be up there considered in anybody's top 5 for the Cy Young this year. So the Dodgers are fine to me. I think that I would rather have a losing April or a middling April than have a big wins April, because that means that the big fall off happens in May. I've known that I've watched the Dodgers start the season for some time now, and every time they start the season 50-50 or just a little bit slightly under 500, they usually do pretty good for the rest of the year. But when they just go crazy the first month of the year, sometimes things just get a little out of hand with them. So, with the losing. So I think that it's good. It's nice and steady, just like your Red Sox. Win one, lose one, win one, lose one. But tonight, they're not going to lose this game, Jeff. Urias is on the mound. It's going to be tough. But I would say this to any of the bettors right now, because that's what we do, is sports bet. I would say take the under 7.5 tonight for that game.
Pops, the scroll has been going the whole time. We all know where you can find you on the Twitter, as you say, at Pop Dibiase, the Prime Wave Media, and the true OG in my heart, as you know that we've been here long time. I call you Prime Time. Tell everyone where they can find you, where they can find your shows, where they can get your picks, your packages, and where obviously you'll be back here in 1 week. But tell everyone where you are.
All right, I'm over here on the Twitter. You guys can hit me at Pop Dibiase, and you guys can ask any questions. DM me if you can, because I shut off my DM for just any random person hitting me up. Blame that to the people that stalk for picks and things like that, and then try to have that death threats as well too, as if you can't track down a IP and stuff like that. But it's all good. But yeah, you guys can find me on the Twitter. You guys can hit me at Pop DBS. You guys can follow for all breaking news, sports news, things like that. My Prime Wave Media page, that's on Twitter as well too. You guys can also follow me on the Instagram, DBIC Wave _. Or if you do want to be a client, you guys can follow PTSI on IG, DM me there, and then I'll get you guys situated and everything like that. PTSI has been around since about 2016. And so pretty much I'm just like Jeff, both of us have been sitting here, hitting the pavement for a while now. So if you guys are looking for somebody to get you into that winner circle every night, well, maybe not every night, but I'm gonna try. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sell you like the rest of them and be like, yeah, man, I'm the greatest to ever do it. And, I got 2 Ferraris at home, 1 Lamborghini, and a Bentley in the shop. I'm not doing that. So pretty much, you guys come hit me up, and you guys can always watch any of my shows, any of my interviews, all that good stuff, because I got a lot of interviews with a lot of people. You guys can check that out on Fanatics View, or you guys can check that out on the Prime Wave Media page as well too. So, as I always say, let's just keep the movement moving, and always bet with your head, not with your heart. But if you need me, that's how you find me.
To all Pops followers, if you're not following me, please follow me at EC Sports Invest. I'll follow you back. And if you have a question for me, I'll answer it. It's plain and simple. If you're not following our YouTube page, jump on over there to East Coast Sports Investor. Subscribe. It's free, just like where Pops is. And always, we enjoy our time in LA on Tuesdays. From the one and only Mr. Pop Dibiase. Go follow him at Pop Dibiase and at Prime Wave Media. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, from the true OG, Prime Time himself, Pop Dibiase, we wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy Tuesday. And as Pops always says on our show, toodles.